Public Facilities, Arts, and Culture. Today is Tuesday, December 20th, and I do detect a quorum. We have a couple of resolutions today. RS 2022-1827, Withers, Roden, Hurt, and others. It approves a term sheet describing the terms and conditions of the agreements and transactions required to finance, construct, and operate a new enclosed multi-purpose stadium on the East Bank, subject to the subsequent approval of final agreements and authorizing the Metropolitan government to pursue other matters related thereto. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Madam, thank you.
Chair, if I could maybe throw out an idea. There's just only one other item after this.
Right.
And I wonder if we might
just go ahead
and do that so those folks can leave and it might make more room in here, because I think we might be on this other item for a little bit.
Oh, wow. That's
Maybe
a
so.
great idea.
Just an idea.
Thank you so much. Just love having such thoughtful committee members. So we're going to move to the second reading. BL 2022-1583, Roden and Hurt, approves Amendment 2 to the contract for program management services between Gobble Hayes Partners Incorporated and the Metropolitan government, which extends the contract term for an additional 30 months and limits the scope. What's your pleasure?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussions, comments? Questions? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. The motion passed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilmember Young. That was really a great suggestion.
Well, in all honesty, I'm just trying to keep favor with Miss Womack at the fairground.
Well, now we are back to our RS 2022-1827, and it has been properly moved and seconded. We have a proposed amendment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there is another late amendment by Councilmember O'Connell. The proposed amendment that we have, and proposed amendment number 1, is by me, and I'm basically asking that the contract itself includes in this section that it will promote to the fullest extent allowed by law to utilize minority and women-owned businesses, enterprises in this development project. This is something that has been near and dear to my heart since I've been on the council, and I'm just staying true to who I am and asking for it to be a part of the resolution. Any questions?
Is that you moving it?
Okay, is there a motion?
Yes,
I'm
so
sorry.
moved.
It's been probably moved and seconded on the amendment. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, thank you. So we have proposed amendment number 2, Councilmember Mendez and Toombs. So Councilmember Mendez actually sent a letter asking that his request is for the 4 amendments to the term sheet resolution be recommended for approval. And there is a description of the amendment. Legal, would you like to share?
Number 2, it basically, so the term sheet on its face is non-binding, and so the amendment puts that language into the actual resolution that purports to adopt the term sheet.
Okay. Is there a motion on the second amendment?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? There being no questions or comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Councilmember Mendez proposed amendment on number 3. And this, would you like to go through that legal?
Sure.
Should I get a motion first?
So moved.
Second? Thank you.
This amendment would add language to the term sheet that would require the mayor to offer to the state to reduce the state's contribution by $50 million, and then use that $50 million to support DCS. And it also would require the debt issue from the Sports Authority to be increased by $50 million, so it would be $810,000, I believe.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Yes, Councilmember.
Why would we be helping the state when they've got millions of dollars and take care of DCS themselves?
I think that's a good
That's my
question.
position.
I think that's a good question. Personally, I don't think that we should conflate the two. I think they're two separate issues, and DCS has had problems long before this idea of a new stadium has come. So I think we should keep them separate and not conflict, as far as I'm concerned. Any other?
Well, it's not like the state's going to listen to us anyway.
Okay, so now that it's been properly moved and seconded, is there all in favor? Can I see a show of hands? All opposed? Thank you all very much. Amendment number 4.
So amendment number 4, so the term sheet has a renewal option that is at the sole discretion of the team. This would change that to make it, to make the renewal by a mutual agreement of the parties.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Amendment number 5. I can read it if you would prefer. It's a short. I'm sorry.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. If you like legal, I can.
This just basically says that to the extent that the $3 fee per ticket for the rent would be considered a ticket tax if it is being charged to the buyers of the ticket. And if it is a ticket tax, it would need to come to the council for a vote to levy that ticket tax.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions?
I do have I think there was really good discussion on this in Budget and Finance regarding the difference between a tax and rent. And in particular, the Titans' commitment to having more community events and activities, both on the field and in the facility. And if I understand correctly, if this were to happen, then an automatic tax would have to be levied, as opposed to rent being waived. However, the rent would still be the responsibility of the Titans to pay. So they wouldn't be able to pass on that savings to a nonprofit or some other. Every single person that goes into the place would have to pay $3 regardless. And that doesn't seem like actually the intent that was in mind when written. And for that reason, it doesn't seem necessary. I'll vote against this amendment.
I just gonna maybe try and simplify what my colleague was trying to say is if an actual ticket tax is imposed, it has to be charged every time a ticket is sold, even if it's for like a high school football game. And if the Titans want to host high school football, TSSAA tournament events and whatnot, I believe they would rather have the discretion of being able to cover that themselves as a rent payment versus passing on that tax to a high school football team.
Exactly.
And so if this amendment goes on, then we're now going to be requiring any event that's there that a ticket is sold, that this has to be on there, and removes that discretion from the team.
That's right. And I think that all of us have been at one event or another for a nonprofit in the current facility. And if you can imagine, even at those fundraisers or whatever, there would be a tax imposed. That just seems inappropriate.
Any other discussion? Okay. May I have a hand of see those that are in favor of this resolution? This amendment, I'm sorry. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Mark me as a no vote. I mean, I'm not voting.
Okay. All right, we have Amendment 6, which is being proposed by Councilmember Suara. I'm sorry. It's been properly moved and seconded. Rita will explain.
So this amendment would allow for the, any excess revenues that are generated that aren't needed to pay debt service to go, that aren't needed to initially pay debt service, to pay debt service in the event that Metro has had to step into the shoes of the authority to pay debt service in the past. It would pay, it would reimburse Metro for any payments, as well as authorize an accelerated debt service payment by the authority with the excess revenues.
Okay. I just have a comment. I thought this was a great amendment, and it also gave some answers to questions that we were asking in terms of where the surplus of funds might be utilized. So I think this is a great use of it, and I thought it was great.
I agree, because if, one thing I've seen this last term is there's been a couple years with the baseball stadium where we've had to pay the difference out of the general fund because they weren't able to raise enough. This is a good stopgap to make sure that that doesn't happen with this. And I think it alleviates a lot of concerns of the community about, well, what if there's a slow year? What if something happens? Because we're, at the end of the day, we're still liable for the money, even if they are committing to paying it.
Exactly.
We're still on the hook for it.
Right. Mama said better have and not need than need and not have. So,
I have a question for legal that just dawned on me. Is this also in the event of natural disaster or act of God moments, or do you know whether or not that it would apply? I'm thinking about a tornado or flooding or things of that nature that may suspend activities. That would be covered by insurance from the team as opposed to the suspension. It's a very random question, and I apologize.
Yeah,
That doesn't have anything to do with that, does it? But it's more
this
like
amendment doesn't
it's more
address.
like what happened with COVID, where suddenly people can't gather for events, and so something happens to where the revenue would decrease.
If an event like that caused the authority to be unable to pay the debt service, and then Metro as a backstop had to step in and pay that debt service, then this would come into effect years later, or several years
Catch up
later,
year.
if there was excess revenue to then reimburse Metro
Gotcha.
for that past payment.
I think it's a fantastic amendment.
Why would you think derecho winds or tornadoes or bombings or COVID or something would happen in Nashville?
I was around when I saw the first stadium get hit, so, yeah, right, Brett? Okay.
any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have a proposed Amendment 7 from Councilmember Toombs. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Do you want me to describe it? Okay, so this one amends the resolution to direct Metro to work with the team to try to find places where revenues that might be generated could be used to go into the general fund to assist other operating expenses or other expenses for the Metropolitan government. And it also would require that if there is a final term sheet, that final term sheet then be delivered to the council within 10 days of its execution.
Any questions or comments regarding that? If not, then can we vote all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion passes. Thank you. We have proposed Amendment 8. Now, I was just in another meeting, and Councilmember Benedict indicated that this was going to be withdrawn. Do we need to go through the? Okay. All right. And there has been a late amendment, 9, by Councilmember Van Rees. Is there,
Motion?
been properly moved and seconded? Councilmember Van Rees.
Yes, I would love a legal description, and then I can make a comment after that if you'd like.
This amendment is late filed. Got to
Yes.
look at it for just a couple of minutes earlier today.
I will make comment while you're researching. A lot of the reasoning, and here comes Councilmember Benedict as well to verify, you're right in time. The idea of Amendment 9 is to take the best of what Councillady Benedict came up with, as well as Councilmember Toombs, and combine it into making something a little bit better. And I think hopefully a lot better. There are a lot of issues in this city, and this is an incredible opportunity. And so we want to make sure that we're combining those two things, both issues and opportunities, into an actual possibility. So it was, as I described in the late file in rules, it wasn't until our conversations yesterday in committee that we saw a way to maybe combine all the best things of things that we discussed into one thing. So it's for that reason I ask for your support. And if there's I've given you a little bit more time to be able to describe anything legally, or if
Maybe the Councilmember Benedict.
So I came in at, I'm assuming, are we talking about 8
Yes.
and 9 or just 9?
Late Amendment 9.
in 9, we're talking about 9.
Just 9, okay. So I had filed an amendment in regards to naming rights for the new stadium, the potential new stadium, and looking at making sure that the community was receiving some direct benefit. And so this Amendment 9 does capture some of that, and I'm excited to be a co-sponsor of it because we are going to do something here in Nashville that we don't see much around the country, and that is that we'll be able to take some new mechanisms and put it in place for, we're doing things the Nashville way. We're making sure that people are taken care of and receiving direct benefit in the general, well, not in the general fund, but in a way that will reach them directly through a new fund, which is what my goal was by seeking those naming rights, was to get money directly into the community for transit, for education, for just to, again, to make sure for transportation.
Affordable housing.
And for housing, yes, thank you, that was on the tip of my tongue. So, anyway, that's why I support this amendment.
And I want to say that I am so happy, and I really want to commend the Titans because they heard the council. And they went back and obviously negotiated and found a way to make sure that the people of this city is going to have some stake in what it is that being requested. And, as we go through this, questions come to mind. And I had one last night. And I have to say that I received a text very early this morning. My question was about the demographics of the Titans and the players. And I found out that Williamson County has 73, Murray County has 17, Montgomery County has 10, Cheatham County 10, Sumner County 34, Rutherford County 42, and Davidson County 335. So I was very, very happy to see that, to hear it, and to know that you have already been doing things the way that they should be. I'd like to have the history, not the promise of what you're gonna do, but the record of what you are already doing.
Shows
And
character.
this proves that you've been doing things in a good way. So I thank you, and for that, I too signed on this late amendment, and I ask for approval from our colleagues. Now, are we ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? Right, one opposition, thank you. And there is a late amendment by Councilmember O'Connell. And he's not here. I was in a meeting. I'm not sure I really fully understood what his amendment was asking. Are you able to give us any more?
I can kind of go through the document section by section if you'd like.
Is there a motion? Moved in property second. Legal, would you please, Ms.
Certainly.
Darby?
So the first section, the goal here is to remove an allocation of excess funds to the Capital Repairs Reserve Fund and make them limited to, in this one particular section, to retirement of sports authority bonds and other lawful uses of the authority, and would require that that be spelled out in the intergovernmental agreement with the Metro. Section number 2 addresses parking facilities, and instead of requiring the authority to provide 2,000 minimum, it would say that if the authority maintains parking, that up to 2,000 would be available, or at least 2,000 would be available. Number 3 is related to the capital asset management plan, which is an ongoing management plan for the facility, and it adds language that says that the capital repairs reserve fund would not exceed the capital expenses reasonably expected to be required for the stadium and the premises reasonably expected to be necessary in the next 10 years of the camp, of the most recent camp, which is the capital maintenance plan. The next section changes the campus development project section of the term sheet, and it would say that Metro, in connection with the project, Metro is responsible for the design and construction with funding of all necessary infrastructure and the development to be split evenly between Metro and the stadium company, which is essentially the team. And then the last section is related to ticket tax revenues, and it would change the term sheets such that the ticket tax for tickets sold at the stadium would be the lesser of $5 or 5% of the value of the ticket sold.
Okay.
That was too much. I don't feel like I can support it, not because that is probably fabulous, but that was just more information than I can process in one sitting. So I am going to vote against this, but it's not because I'm going to abstain. It's
Well,
too
I
much,
can
too
tell you
fast.
that in rules, the Rules Committee allowed it to move forward as an amendment, but they did not object, basically, to it being an amendment, but they took no action on the amendment itself.
Okay. Let's do it.
I vote.
Okay. So I guess I should take a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? And abstentions? What did you?
No.
Use a no.
Okay, so it's 1 in favor, 3 noes, and 3 abstentions.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
on that late amendment by Van Race number 9, change my vote to yes instead of no. I was looking at the wrong one, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
I looked over at you and wondered if you had too much peppermint.
Too much peppermint.
Okay,
I'm making amends.
Yeah, okay, it's all good.
thank you. So,
Yes, he was distracted by Councilmember Young's shirt.
now that we have all the amendments that have been acted upon, I guess now we can move for the resolution itself. Is there
As amended. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded for the amendment on this resolution 1826. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 1 opposition.
Is that right?
Okay, thank you all very much.
It's pretty good, Sharon.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.